Just keep moving. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward.
Fellow Toastmasters, come back with me to the year 1976. I was in high school, and I thought, I need to make some money. So I sought out a job. It was in sales. My friends went nuts. They said, Jeff, how can you do this? There's a reason that we call you Stoneface. It's because you're a blasted, introverted loser.
Oh, jeez.
I love these guys. They were my friends. But there was something true to what they said. I took the sales job because my dad was a salesperson, and I wanted to be a salesperson. Salespeople generally get commissions over and above the base salary. I thought that would be cool. Unfortunately, my friends were right about that job. I didn't last long. I didn't do well. I failed. I lost. But you know what? That same year, 1976, something happened. Imagine, if you will, you're a young man. You've gone from foster home to foster home. You've gotten in fights in school. Life's just not going too good. But you have a dream, and you decide you want to be an actor. And so throughout your 20s, you're trying to be an actor. You're interviewing. You're trying out for roles and that sort of thing for the entire decade of your 20s. You go through 100 auditions and interviews. You go through 200. 200 becomes 500, which becomes 1,000, which becomes 1,500 interviews and auditions during the decade of your 20s. Finally, you get to the point where I've got to do something different. And so you sit down and decide, I'm going to write my own movie. And it's going to be for me. I want to be the star. I can act. I believe in myself. And you write that movie within a day. And you call it Rocky. You're 30 years old. You're barely eking out a living. You have no financial stability. As a matter of fact, you had to sell your dog for $35 because you couldn't pay the electric bill. That's how bad things got by the time you wrote that movie. Life still tried to knock him down a little bit. Universal Pictures offered him $250,000 for that script. Now, if you couldn't even pay your bill for electricity and had to sell your dog, wouldn't you take $250,000? Solve a lot of problems, wouldn't it? You know what he said? Sylvester Stallone? No. The executives, all right, fine, we'll give you $325,000. No. All right, Stallone, we'll give you $30,000 for the script and you can be the lead. They didn't want him to be the lead. They weren't willing to take that risk. But the door opened and he had a shot. And you know what? In that year, Rocky was Best Picture. And Stallone was nominated as Best Actor. Can you imagine what the 1,500 people that really didn't like him as an actor thought? He made it. You see, I had started in sales the year that movie came out. And it always was a motivator to me. The guy that was at the bottom and was a loser because he failed and failed and failed and finally he won. I was that guy in sales, so to speak. But I learned from a book, How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins, and I read it and I learned it was a skill. And I learned that I had to keep moving forward. I had to get up. I had to keep trying. And I kept trying. In my decade of my 20s and part of my 30s was kind of like that too. You know, there's a part in the movie, there's a lot of great quotations, a lot of motivational sayings and that sort of thing, but one gets overlooked a lot. The negative voice in the movie is Paulie, Rocky's best friend. He's always negative. He's got something negative to say. And he comes home one night in a drunken stupor, and he's angry because Rocky's now becoming famous. He's going to fight the big fight against Apollo Creed. And Rocky's love interest is his sister, so he's jealous of her, too. And you know what? That night he yelled at her, and he called her a loser. Well, that quiet little waif of a woman grabbed him by the collar and said, "I took care of you, and you made me feel like a loser. Well, I'm not a loser." If I scared you a little bit, that's because she was such a good actress. She shouted down that negative voice. And the interesting thing is, as you look at the rest of the movie, her whole appearance changes. She becomes more confident in everything. I had to shout down the negative voices. Often they came from right in here. But that's what we have to do. Keep shouting them down. I did trainings. I latched on to mentors who could teach me how to sell. Eventually, do you know what happened? As I kept moving forward, I started making sales, got more appointments. Eventually, the cars, the house, everything started to come. That movie, Rocky, was always something that I went back to and watched and latched onto. And of course, there were other movies like that, right? I loved them all. Things worked out for me. You know what? Stallone is a winner. In a later movie, he wrote the script, and these are the words that he came up with. Life ain't all a bunch of sunshine and rainbows. It's a mean, nasty place. And it'll knock you down to your knees and leave you there permanently if you let it. Not I or you or nobody is going to hit as hard as life, but it isn't how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's what winning is. Hello, Toastmasters. Give speeches. We try different things in our own endeavors. Sometimes we fail. Sometimes we get a speech that doesn't work out. But we keep getting back up, don't we? That's what you do. And you shout down that negative voice. You're a loser, because it's not true. Hello, Toastmasters. Just keep moving forward, and things will work out. Mr. Toastmaster.
Excellent job.